In the Northern Kindness, a single golem defeats all the powerful golems, including the Earth Magic Company Commander Golem. The comrades stand in a state of extreme shock. Among them is a girl with sparkling crimson eyes and unnaturally long ears. Everyone present has heard the legends and recalls a certain phrase, the Barbarian Queen. This cruel yet beautiful goddess before them resembles the golem of the Barbarian Queen. Suddenly, something strikes the ear of our protagonist. As he comes to his senses, he finds himself standing among greenery in his lame pajamas. He touches himself in shock, wondering where he is and if he might be in a dream. As he looks at his pajamas, he thinks the design sucks. Looking under his feet, he is shocked to see that he is standing on something like a magic circle, but can't figure out why. He lifts his feet from it, stating that it looks scary. As he looks around, he feels weird, as if it's a dream, yet awfully detailed. Backing up in shock, he feels a strange wall behind him. As he tries to push it, he can't move it. Suddenly, he comes out from it and almost falls but manages to control himself. He feels a gentle caressing breeze and the stiff scent of vegetation. Looking at it all, the only thing that comes to his mind is that it isn't a dream. He wonders if he has been kidnapped and taken here. Checking his pocket for his phone, he can't find it. Still, he worries about his pajama style, thinking people will make fun of him. His stare then meets a hole in a rock cave, and he feels something in his body. All of a sudden, he really wants to go inside the cave. His feet start moving on their own, and he runs hurriedly towards it. On the way, he hurts his foot on a stone and rolls to the ground. Sitting up, he holds his foot, blowing on it and thinking that his toe still exists. Standing up, he thinks about his weird urge to enter the cave as if nothing else matters. Peeking inside, he finds it is a tunnel instead of a cave, and it is pretty long, but he can see the end. He starts thinking about whether he should go through the tunnel to the other side or go back to investigate the magic circle. There are two simple choices, but he says he is planning to go on board anyway, so it is just a matter of order. In retrospect, the most important decision of his life is this one. Trusting his instincts, he leaves the tunnel and goes back to the magic circle. It is a simple decision, yet it is the one that writes the first page for all stories to come. Walking further, he is shocked to see a large, massive gate. He reaches it by returning to the eerie magic circle and finds a single line extending from it. Sitting down to look at it, he sees that the line on the ground is the same color as the circle and stretches towards a grove in the opposite direction of the tunnel. As he walks with it, he finds that it looks like the line goes through. However, there is a problem. It doesn't budge when he pushes or pulls. Another magic circle is on the gate, and it seems somewhat sinister. If he knows anything about magic, he would smile, but he can't understand what kind of place this is. It should be easy enough to open with some magic chant, so he shouts, "Open sesame," and then starts laughing, stating that he is just joking. To his surprise, the door bursts open, and his mouth drops in shock. Looking inside, he thinks that the line keeps going. His eyes tingle with curiosity, so he jumps in, thinking he might as well go in. As he walks further, he notes there is no lighting. It seems like some foreign ruins or tomb that he thinks the light from the entrance can't go much further. If he had a flashlight, he could use it, but he doesn't. If he had one, he could even use it to call for help, and he wouldn't have followed that random line into this random tomb. He wonders if the tunnel will take him to a house or something. If he can at least get to a house, he can contact the police or his family. Suddenly, he feels pain in his head and senses something is wrong. Walking further, he sees a bright light from the front. He is shocked to see the large place as it gets way brighter. Walking in, he is shocked to find that the walls are glowing, wondering what they are made of. Following the line, he reaches another magic circle. Sitting down, he thinks about how the tunnel he was walking from is attached to this one. This doesn't help him much, yet it feels better to be here. It seems worth it. Suddenly, he feels something, and as he turns back, he is shocked to find a skeleton sitting on a throne. He freaks out, thinking that after walking through unknown lands, he has finally met another person, but it is just a skeleton. The skeleton has expensive stuff on, so he guesses it is pretty important, likely a tomb. Folding his hands, he states that he is just an unlucky victim and isn't trying to desecrate the grave. He requests the skeleton not to curse him. Then he notices a book on the side table. It looks like a book of stone and seems to be left there by the skeleton, indicating its importance. Interested, he walks towards it, but the bindings keep it shut and stuck to the pedestal. Instead of a keyhole, there is another circle. He thinks it might open with some phrase similar to the one on the stone door. Freaking out, he remembers the phrase sesame and thinks the door blowing up was his fault. Though he is apprehensive, his curiosity wins. He says it, and suddenly the book explodes. Shocked, he freaks out at the flashiness but realizes it worked. As he opens it, he thinks he needs to come up with some excuses, but the book is now open, and it is time to look inside. As he looks at the book, he sees a script he has never seen before, yet he can read it. It details the summoning of the Sorcerer King and the theory of world destruction in 2,000 years. Further on, the writer introduces himself. As his life nears its end, he records the details of his ultimate summoning techniques. His name is Liba Xylane. Before the one who opened this book rests his empty shell. If a living being has entered his room of stone, it means 1,000 years have passed since the old world perished at the end of the Sorcerer King of Destruction, and the time lock on the stone door is released. The boy gazes at the skeleton, musing that the man must have been referring to it. Hence, this book was likely left behind by him. Though unsure of what this time lock might be, the boy surmises that he must have broken it when he destroyed the door, prompting him to apologize to the skeleton for inadvertently ruining his plans. As he reads on, he learns that the Med ruler of the underworld, the Sorcerer King of Destruction, will bring about the end of the world. Through a lifetime of research, the man claims to have finally discovered the ritual to summon this being and is now set to put it into practice. The boy chuckles, thinking the man must have had a death wish, which is why he resolved to summon the Sorcerer King. Feeling a pang of sympathy for the man, now nothing but a skeleton, he reflects on the notion that the Sorcerer King, the ruler of destruction, manifests in their world through selective summoning from the underworld. Undoubtedly, the Sorcerer King mentioned in past records must have been brought forth using similar means, he ponders. But, he wonders, isn't simply being dead enough? The previous Sorcerer King was killed before he could end the world. Though his desire to destroy was intense, his magical proficiency was lacking. The boy concludes that no one thus far has been both powerful enough and intent on world destruction. The author of the book advises a simple, two-step process to ensure success. First, select a vessel based solely on magic power, choosing an underworlder with the necessary strength, but lacking the desire to destroy the world. Then, implant a strong desire to enter the beginning of the end cave, which he created. Entering the cave, the boy reads, will activate the soul transcription alert scale technique, overriding the underworlder's personality. Shocked, the boy's eyes widen as he realizes that the cave he wanted to explore was the very beginning of the end cave. The realization infuriates him, and he recalls rushing toward the cave, now understanding that it would have completely erased his personality and memory, replacing them with the will to destroy the world. The boy shouts, cursing the skeleton, berating it for nearly ending his life had he entered that tunnel. He yells at the skeleton to go in himself if he wishes to die, complaining about the trouble it nearly caused him. After making a scene, he calms down, remembering that the skeleton is already dead. He then summarizes that this is indeed a different world, and he was summoned to become the Sorcerer King. As he reads further, he uncovers another crucial detail. To summon the Sorcerer King, the summoner must offer their own life as compensation. The boy realizes that this man sacrificed his own life to summon him into this world. The boy starts laughing, mocking the situation. So, Xylane summoned me here and then died? That doesn't make me feel any better, he scoffs. But as he continues reading, his amusement fades. The text mentions that, to ensure the completion of the ritual, individuals with ancient blood are sacrificed as a stimulus. He doesn't fully grasp the details, but the mention of sacrifices strongly suggests that there were other victims. A wave of shock runs through his body, and he raises his leg, imagining kicking Xylane's skeleton clear across the room. The thought that others were sacrificed enrages him. But he pauses, lowering his leg, thinking if Xylane were still alive, he would have definitely kicked him a new one. But kicking a skeleton now won't help anything. He prides himself on being a moral person and refuses to give in to his anger. As he exits the cave, the sky is darkening. Even after becoming the Sorcerer King, he can't shake his anger. Staring at the sky, he reflects on the strangeness of his experience. It hasn't quite settled in that he's in a different world, especially since he hasn't encountered any living inhabitants yet. But as he looks at the sky, he becomes fully convinced that he's been summoned to another world as there are 2 moons here. The next day, he wanders around the area and eventually stumbles upon a small cabin. The apple-like fruit he finds tastes like cranberries, though it seems the fruit has gone unpicked for years. Just having a place to sleep is enough for him, though. Inside the cabin, he finds some men's clothes, which he borrows. They're a bit big, but he can't afford to be picky. Thankfully, there's an orchard near the cabin, so at least he won't starve to death. This area seems to be surrounded by sheer rock faces, and the only easy way out appears to be through that tunnel. However, after learning about Xylane's soul transcription, he isn't brave enough to attempt it. He drinks the water from the tap, finding it refreshing, with no immediate danger in sight, so he wonders what he should do next. A wave of sadness washes over him as he realizes there's no one to talk to, and he hasn't encountered anything alive, though avoiding animals might not be a bad idea either. He lies down, crying, as the loneliness begins to consume him. His gaze falls on the book from the study, and he finds it odd that the house lacks interior windows or doors, aside from the one leading to the study. However, the study was clearly sealed by magic, showing no signs of weathering. Inside, all the books on the shelves were related to magic or sorcery. It seemed that he possessed some ability to translate the language of this world, but most of the books in the study were too technical for him to grasp, leaving surprisingly few that he could understand. As he returns to the study and picks up a specific book, it turns out to be an introduction to sorcery, the only one within his comprehension. As he reads about golem creation, he begins to question it to himself.